It's mean. It's mean. It's mean. It's ripping apart Mitt Romney for being a businessman, venture capitalist, and they, somehow call him vulture capitalist, and not those words, but others. Roland, fair game?
Of course. First of all, when Mitt Romney makes it clear that his job creation experience is the primary experience that he is speaking to, and why he wants to be president, of course, that is fair game. Now, the problem, of course, when you begin to talk about private equity, there are people out there who are African American, who are Hispanic, who are women, who are white, doesn't matter, who also seek venture capital dollars, private equity dollars. And so it's a very fine line. And keep in mind, the president got lots of money from Wall Street in the last campaign, not as much this time. It is flipped. And so I think they will zero in on Bain, but not try to make it a larger issue to say private equity as a whole is the problem.
All right, so Tom, Blair, jump in if you would here, because last week it was really ripped apart. Some of the characterizations that were made of the steel company that went under. There were some gray areas that were capitalized on by the Democratic ad. This one, same thing.
Yes, and I would say in presidential politics, anything is fair game, and Roland makes some excellent points. I would suggest, though, that the Democratic Party needs to be sensitive to being hit by a ricochet. If you look at the current administration, it is really the largest equity fund in the planet. A couple of years ago, we put $200 billion into GM and AIG. We didn't give them the money. We had some high interest rate loans at 9%. We took the majority of the equity. We, as the government of the United States, made them change the management. We made them void some contracts.
Yeah, but we didn't run up debt, and that's the biggest criticism of what the private equity firm Bain Capital did when it took over big steel companies, et cetera, that it ran the debt way up and then made off like bandits afterwards. So I don't know that that's a fair comparison, is it, Tom?
Well, I don't know. How about Solyndra? We ran up the debt there for $500 million, and they went upside down. So, no, I wouldn't say ran off. Sometimes reality comes to the point where there's really nothing else to do but close up the shop.
Well, no, but I do think that what this is going to cause, Ashley, is for us to examine the practices of Wall Street when, as you suggested, companies do jack the debt up, be able to come in, whack the workforce, whack the labor force, and then be able to try to sell the company at a higher profit to benefit the private equity firm.
But you know what, Roland, the character of these ads, it does smear Mitt Romney as though this is all about his character. This is what he does. He's a vulture. And that isn't fair, because the greater spectrum of his career was not like that.
But here's the deal, though. The whole point, though, is you're not sitting here saying, oh, here's the totality of what he did. You're speaking to specific companies, specific communities that were actually decimated. And trust me, in a political campaign, those voices are going to be extremely powerful.
In a steel industry that was decimated. It was the worst time in American history for steel.
It doesn't matter when you are a person who had a job and a family and children in college, and all of a sudden your jobs were whacked. But my whole point is those voices are going to be significant in any political campaign, whether it happens on the left or the right.
Business is business. I'll give you the last word, Tom.
Well, I would suggest that GM and AIG and other folks that benefited from the bailout got saddled with immense debt at very high interest rates. And it's a tragedy any way you look at it. People get laid off to make the whole work. And whether you be an auto worker or somebody in a steel mill, when you get laid off, it hurts. You really don't care whether the company is successful after that.
All right, guys, I got to leave it there. Roland Martin, Tom Blair, thanks very much. That is fair game.